Hey guys, it's Courtney here with King Realty and Management. And no, it's not Mondays, but the beauty of social media is we can still go live even though it's Tuesday. This is another episode of Management Mondays where we tackle all things property management. If you are a investor that self-manages, or if you're just curious as to how we do things in property management, this is for you. Before we get started, make sure you visit our website, kingrealtytx.com. We have all types of resources for homeowners, landlords, would-be landlords, all of you guys. So make sure you check it out, kingrealtytx.com. Today, we're talking all about what to do when you inherit a property, back it up. What to do if you buy a property that's already occupied by a tenant and you inherit the tenant. So what do you do, especially in the case where the tenant is paying below market rent, okay? This is actually very, very common. There are some landlords out there that will purposefully either keep their tenant at a below market rental rate, maybe because the tenant has been there for so long. Maybe they just never up the rents because they figured they would end up selling the property. There's so many different reasons why a tenant would be paying below market rent. But when you purchase a property, there are certain things that I usually tell my clients to do because at the end of the day, this is a business. This is an investment, and you want to achieve the highest return on investment possible, okay? This actually happened Friday. I had a client that closed on the purchase of a full duplex, which we are managing. So the first thing that I did is, number one, even before we closed, I checked to see if the tenants are on a month-to-month lease or if they're locked into a certain lease term. Guys, if you inherit a tenant that is already locked into a lease, and let's say the lease expires 3, 4, 5 months from now, you can't do anything to adjust that rent or any terms that are on that existing lease. When you purchase that property with that lease in place, you actually have to honor it, okay? But if you are purchasing a property and the tenant is month to month, in this case, the two tenants in this full duplex are month to month, then there are certain things that you can do. So number one that I did with this client is I pulled rental comps, and I said, okay, if we were to fix this property up, what is the top dollar rent that we can achieve, okay? What is it gonna cost to get the property fixed up to that point? All of those numbers are things that we're discussing even before you close on the purchase of the property, okay? But now that we're closed, now that we already have an idea of what the property can fetch in terms of monthly rent, then it's about a plan of action. So with this particular client and everybody that, is in the same boat that I help, I put together a whole plan of action, okay? If the tenant that you're inheriting is month to month and you want them to stay, oftentimes it's a good idea to renew the lease, but draft a brand new lease so that you have lease terms that you want, right? In addition to the lease terms, deciding what the rent is. This particular tenant is pretty below market rent. And so that's where you really have to weigh the cost, right? If you bump the rent up on this renewal or this fresh lease too high, it may cause them to move. Are you okay with that? Are you prepared for that financially? I like to do business always keeping a win-win attitude. How can we make this a win-win, right? How can we present it to the tenant like, hey, tenant, you've been at the same rental rate since 2015. They're probably waiting for a rental increase at any moment anyway, but dialoguing with the tenant to see where they're at, okay? So in this case, we are giving the tenant a 60-day notice and saying, hey, your rent's gonna go up in 60 days. That way, if that tenant decides to move out, we have plenty of time to prep and plan, right? On this particular property, it's a duplex, so there's 2 units. So we decided to keep one tenant that we inherited, but the other tenant we're going to request that they vacate the property within a certain period of time. And I know you're asking, well, why are you doing that? Well, that particular unit needs a lot of work. And it's not wise to do that much work while a tenant is in place, okay? So these are all of the things that you want to figure out. Now, especially in a multifamily situation like this, a full duplex, wisdom would suggest keep at least half of it occupied. That way you're getting some sort of cash flow while you're turning the other property and making it ready for the next tenant and bumping up the rent. These are all strategies that I use in every situation. Even if we're not even dealing with a multifamily situation, maybe it's a single family home, right? Every investor's goals is a little bit different. So I think starting with your goals first and then examining the situation, even while you're in the process of negotiating, is very, very wise. I hope this is helpful for you. Point blank period, you have to look at the lease term of the tenant that you're inheriting. Okay, guys? And if they are month to month, then you can make moves. If not, you probably have to delay those moves. But make sure you're reading all of the lease terms to understand what their notice requirement is, understand what their lease terms are, looking at the comps, doing your due diligence. I hope this is helpful. Make sure you visit our website, kingrealtytx.com. If you are considering purchasing an already occupied investment property, by all means, and if you want me to take a look at it to see, what is the after repair value, what kind of top dollar rents can we fetch with this property, make sure you email us. You can email me directly, Courtney at kingrealtytx.com. Our website, kingrealtytx.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at King Realty Texas, all spelled out. And then YouTube, King Realty TX. I will talk to you next week, hopefully on Monday for Management Mondays. But if it's late, hey, we make it work, right? Enjoy the rest of your week. I will be back again tomorrow with dealing with some seller topic because it's that time of year where people start making plans to sell their house, and I want you to be well equipped and informed to make the best decision for you and your family. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you later.